Hello, English language scholars of grade 5, and welcome to another lesson. I'm your teacher, Miss Melissa, and today we will be looking at another part of speech. So far, we have looked at nouns, pronouns, and verbs. So today, we want to take a look at adjectives. What is an adjective? Simply, an adjective is a word which describes a noun or pronoun. That is the definition that we have been working with since our earlier grades. Therefore, adjectives are words that describe or add meaning to a noun or pronoun. However, from today's lesson, we will understand that this definition of adjective that has been used from the earlier grades can be a bit misleading, since it is not all adjectives that describes nouns or pronouns. As such, adjectives can be described as words that modifies nouns or pronouns. That is, an adjective tells you more about a noun or pronoun. For example, adjectives might include tall, which tells us size or height, blue, which tells us color, rectangular or pointed, which tells us shape, hot, which tells us about the quality of something. Guyanese is an adjective that tells us nationality. Musical tells us kind, while leather or linen tells us about the material. The adjective horrible tells us about a feeling. So, boys and girls, from now onwards, we should ensure that we use the definition of an adjective which states that it is a word that modifies a noun or pronoun. In this case, the word modify means to tell us more about. So, let's take a closer look at these modifiers called adjectives. We will now look at the types of adjectives. The first type of adjective that we want to take a look at is descriptive or qualitative adjectives. A descriptive or qualitative adjective describes a noun or pronoun. They tell us more about the size, the shape, color, kind, condition, or attribute of a noun or pronoun. For example, if we say, Ariana is a beautiful girl, which word tells us more about Ariana? Yes, the word is beautiful. Beautiful modifies the noun girl. That is, beautiful is telling us more about the girl, Ariana. And in this case, it is describing, and so it is a descriptive adjective. Another example would be, Mr. Little's mangoes tasted delicious. We might ask, which word tells us more about the mangoes? That word would be delicious. So, delicious is a descriptive adjective. Further, the toy is long, round, and blue. Which words tell us more about the toy? Yes, those words would be long, round, and blue. These words tell us about the color, shape, and the sizes of the toy. So long, round, and blue are descriptive or qualitative adjectives. Lastly, the man is carrying a heavy load. Which word tells us more about the noun load? Yes, the modifier heavy is a descriptive or qualitative adjective. Other examples of descriptive adjectives might include delicious, light, boring, circular, colorful, spacious, fashionable, diligent, ferocious, and powerful. Let's move on to another type of adjective. The next type that we will look at is quantitative adjectives, or some might say adjectives of quantity. Quantitative adjectives refer to the amount or quantity of something. These adjectives answers the questions how many or how much. Examples might include: there were 10 students in the classroom. For us to pick out the quantitative adjective in that sentence, we might ask, how many students were in the classroom? Our answer would be 10. So, boys and girls, the word 10 used in this sentence and in this context is a quantitative adjective. Another example would be, several men constructed the house. If we want to know how many men constructed the house, our answer would be several. Several in this case is telling us more about the noun men and therefore stands as a quantitative adjective. It must be noted that quantitative adjectives may be definite or they may be indefinite. When the exact number is known, then they are definite quantitative adjectives. For example, 3 pillows, 3 being the quantitative adjective in a definitive form. A dozen pencils, dozen being the definite quantitative adjective. Or we might also find the second street, second being the definite adjective. 60 seconds, first place, 12 students, and 10th birthday. These all imply that there is something definite about the quantity that is being implied from the words. Additionally, when the exact amount is not known, the adjectives are classified as indefinite quantitative adjectives, or some might just say indefinite adjectives. For example, some rice. Some here is the indefinite adjective, and it doesn't indicate a direct quantity. Other examples might include much peas, a lot of water, many books, few boys, several children, less juice, and more time. The words some, much, a lot of, many, few, several, less, and more are all indefinite adjectives since they do not express a known quantity. Another type of adjective is demonstrative adjectives. I'm sure you remember this word when we were looking at pronouns. However, let's zoom in here. A demonstrative adjective refers to a particular noun or pronoun. It points out a particular or specific noun or pronoun. The demonstrative adjectives are this, that, these, and those. I'm sure you remember that these words were also demonstrative pronouns. But here, these same words can be used as adjectives. What makes the difference is that a demonstrative adjective must be followed by a noun. Boys and girls, I'll repeat that demonstrative adjectives must be followed by a noun. If they are not followed by nouns, then they would be demonstrative pronouns. For example, that van belongs to my father. That is followed by the noun van, and in this case, that is a demonstrative adjective. However, if we say, that belongs to my father, in this sentence, that is a demonstrative pronoun, since after the word that, there is no noun. Let's look at some other examples of demonstrative adjectives in motion. This banana is healthy for you. This is an adjective because after this, we can see the word banana, which is a noun. Also, place these books on the shelf. These is a demonstrative adjective, and as we can see, it is followed by the noun books. Lastly, may I have those plates, please? Those again is a demonstrative adjective, and it is surely followed by a noun, which is the word plates. So, boys and girls, it is important for us to remember that when we are using demonstrative adjectives, they must be followed by nouns. Let's move on. Interrogative adjectives. Interrogative adjectives are used to ask questions. The interrogative adjective is used first in the sentence. The interrogative adjective must be followed by a noun. If they are not followed by nouns, then they would be interrogative pronouns. Examples of interrogative adjectives include which, what, and whose. Examples of these in sentences might include which book is most interesting? Our interrogative adjective in this sentence is which, and as we can see, it is followed by the noun book. Another example might be whose bag was left on the bench. Whose is the interrogative adjective, and as we can surely see, it is followed by a noun bag. Let's move on. Possessive adjectives. Now, possession always has to do with ownership. So, possessive adjectives show ownership or possession. The possessive adjectives include my, his, her, its, or, your, and their. A noun must follow a possessive adjective. In the absence of a noun, I'm sure you're aware by now that that word would be a pronoun. Examples of possessive adjectives in use might include my house is near the garage. My here is the possessive adjective. Right after the word, we can see the noun house. Another example might include their home is located 5 kilometers away from the school. There is the possessive adjective. Right after there, we see the noun home. And lastly, his bicycle needs a new tire. His is the possessive adjective, and it is followed by the noun bicycle. So, boys and girls, we're seeing that demonstrative adjectives, interrogative adjectives, and possessive adjectives must all be followed by nouns to ensure that they are functioning as adjectives in the sentence. If not, then they change formats and become pronouns. Boys and girls, let's look at another type of adjective: distributive adjectives. A distributive adjective shows whether the noun is thought of as singly or as a group. These adjectives deal with nouns separately. They are normally used with singular nouns. Examples include each, every, neither, and either. Some examples of sentences with these adjectives are: every girl has to reach the school early. In this case, every is the distributive adjective. Each day we pray reverently. Here, each is the distributive adjective. Let's look at the last type of adjectives: proper adjectives. Proper adjectives are formed from proper nouns. They always begin with capital letters. Examples might include: the Brazilian dancers entertained the audience. Which word tells us more about the dancers? Yes, that would be the word Brazilians. And in this case, Brazilian is a proper adjective. Japanese vehicles are sold in foreign countries. We might ask, which word modifies vehicles? Or which word tells us more about vehicles? Yes, that word would be Japanese. And so Japanese is a proper adjective. Another example: the Dutch footballers just arrived. Dutch here tells us more about the footballers, and so it functions as a proper adjective. Other examples of proper adjectives might include Spanish, Chinese, British, German, American, Guyanese, Indian, Danish, French, Roman, Cuban, Greek, Mexican, and Nigerian. On page 37 of the New Junior English Revised, you can find a comprehensive list of proper adjectives, and on page 38, there are several practice exercises. Be sure to check it out. So, let's look at an exercise that will allow us to apply our knowledge of the types of adjectives. The instruction: from the types of adjectives list, state what type of adjective is underlined in each. Might I remind you of the types of adjectives that we have looked at? We have descriptive, possessive, demonstrative, interrogative, quantitative, indefinite, distributive, and proper. Number 1. The circus had 2 Brazilian clowns. What is the type of adjective underlined? Yes, boys and girls, Brazilian is a proper adjective. Good job. Number 2. Which novel would you recommend? What is the type of adjective underlined at number 2? Yes, which begins the sentence, which asks a question, and therefore it is an interrogative adjective. Next, that bag belongs to the lady. Definitely, you are correct if you said that the word that is a demonstrative adjective. I'm sure you looked at the word coming after, which indicates that it is definitely an adjective because all demonstrative adjectives must be followed by nouns. Number 4. There are a few things I need to tell you. What type of adjective is indicated by the underlined word? Yes, boys and girls, few is a quantitative adjective. But more specifically, we can say that it is an indefinite adjective also. Number 5. The teacher gave each student a book. What type of adjective is each? Yes, each is a distributive adjective. Number 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I will give you some time to jot your answers in your exercise books. The sentences are: the brave fireman rescued the child from the burning building. This boy was blamed. The guests were served Italian food. The lioness fed her cubs with antelope meat. And whose pen is on the floor? Take some time to get the correct answers for these types of adjectives. So, let's check in. Brave, that is a descriptive adjective. Give yourself a big star if you have that in your exercise book. This is a demonstrative adjective. Good job. Italian is a proper adjective, while her is a possessive adjective. And finally, the word whose is an interrogative adjective. You have done an excellent job. So, boys and girls of grade 5, today we learned so much about adjectives. We are now aware that adjectives do not only describe nouns or pronouns, but rather they modify nouns or pronouns, since they tell us more about that noun or pronoun. We were met with several types of adjectives, and it is very important that you learn them along with examples. Remember also that some types of adjectives have the same type as pronouns, but it is important that adjectives are followed by nouns. At this time, I will say goodbye for now. until our next lesson, where we will be looking at the comparison of adjectives. Do stay safe until I see you again.